Thank you for tuning in to our third video on preparing for the Affordable Care Act. In this video, we're actually going to look and audit the Affordable Care Act statuses that we already updated through the bulk utility. Prior to moving forward, I'd like to take a moment again to remind you that you should have already identified the employee at your company that will be your Affordable Care Act expert. That person should be watching this video. If you have not designated an employee to be your in-house expert, I suggest that you reach out to your benefits broker or third-party consultant for their expertise and advice. We will be providing tools and reports to help you manage the ACA. However, you will need to determine what to do with this information for your company. This includes, but is not limited to, items such as how an employee should be coded, what to do when an employee status changes, and how your benefits plan may need to be adjusted based on information from our reports. As we move forward, if you recall from our prior video, we updated the Affordable Care Act status for all of our employees. We're now going to go back into the company setup and use the ACA Status Audit to review all of the ACA status for our employees. We're going to look at our variable hour status. We're going to choose non-variable hour employees first. We're actually going to change the average hours from 30 hours per week to 130 hours per month. The reason why we need to go with the monthly approach is because payroll is captured by check date, not necessarily by a calendar month as the Affordable Care Act has requested. So what we're actually doing is capturing the hours associated with each check date within a given month. Therefore, we're looking at 130 hours per month. The effective date range should be automatically set for our purposes 12/1/2013 through 11/30/2014, as that's the year measurement period for us based on our most recent check date in our setup company. If we don't change our filter, we're going to be looking at all of our employees, and that means full-time employees, part-time employees, and the unknown employees that we set up. To make it easier to actually review the results of your audit, you might find it simpler to actually filter this down to specific groups of employees. We're going to filter down by ACA status. So first we're going to look at our full-time employees. We'll scroll to the bottom of the page and we'll click Calculate. Very quickly we have our results. All of the employees are in orange, which would indicate there's a warning. All of our employees are in orange because this is a setup company, and I'll explain that later. But for now, let's focus on the actual status. So here was the status that we had in the system, the average hours calculated by the utility, and the projected ACA status. We're going to scroll down, and what we're hoping to find is that all of our employees projected is still full-time. You'll notice first that we have 3 employees that are marked as part-time. These were our new hires. Now, this is where it's incumbent upon you to know your staff. We know that they should be full-time. The reason why they're part-time in the status update is because they haven't been paid yet, so they don't have any hours recorded. So I'm actually going to leave them marked as full-time. Now, what you may not have noticed was that one of our employees, their status actually changed. So I'm going to scroll back up, and it's Victor Cruz. We originally marked him as full-time, but based on the measurement period, he actually only averaged 120 hours per month, so the system is telling us he should be part-time. So I'm going to change him, or I'm going to allow the system to default to change him to part-time. Before I save changes, I want to pull up the view feature, which would only really help if an employee is in orange and that's telling you there's a warning. So each one of these views is the same thing. It's telling us that there was a break in period of service. What that is an indication of is that there was a few payrolls that were processed where this person wasn't paid. Again, bear in mind this is a setup company for us, and we use this for several demo reasons. So our employees, we run payrolls out of order. Sometimes they're included on them, sometimes they're not. If they were a normal company that followed a traditional weekly, bi-weekly, semi-monthly schedule, we probably wouldn't find that audit so frequently. I'll save changes, and our records have been updated. I'm going to go through the same thing for part-time employees. We're going to be looking at non-variable hour, 130 hours per month. Scroll down and calculate. And we'll look through our employees. We're looking for anyone who's not listed as part-time. All of our employees passed. The last group of employees that we had to look at, if you recall from our prior video, was our employees that we actually marked as unknown. Now, when we look at our unknown, you'll notice that nobody shows up. Please recall that we marked those employees as variable hour. So we need to tell the system we're looking for the variable hour employees. Once we do that, we have our 3 employees come up. We'll calculate. And the system's telling us, well, we didn't know before, but based on these average hours, they should be marked as part-time. So we'll now mark them as part-time. And that's how you go through the status audit. This is something you'll probably want to do each month to monitor your employees on a regular basis to see when an employee's status changes based on hours worked. Very quickly, I'm going to go back to a particular employee that we changed. We'll look at Raul Alegre once again. And we can see that for a period from 1/1 to 11/30, he was marked as unknown, and then from 12/1, he was marked as part-time. And still his variable hour and seasonal checkboxes remain. That's the end of this video. Thanks again for tuning in. We should have more videos coming out in the very near future. Thank you.